Joining us now, NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Sirkin, Democratic campaign strategist Faz Shakir, senior advisor to Senator Bernie Sanders, and Susan Page, Washington bureau chief for USA Today. Julie, good morning. What are some Democratic lawmakers saying about the division in the party?
Yeah, hey, good morning, Jose. Well, I just came from a town hall on Friday that Democratic Senator Andy Kim held in New Jersey in a Republican-held district, and I can tell you that the loudest applause from the room, the most energetic the crowd was, came when Kim said that he broke with Leader Chuck Schumer in his vote against keeping the government open and going along with that House-passed continuing resolution that ultimately only that chamber wrote and had an input in. And so Democratic lawmakers are definitely frustrated behind the scenes, not so much that Schumer at the end of the day decided to keep the government open, because there were many who privately felt like that was the right way to go, the right move to make in that moment, but questions certainly surrounding over what strategy or lack thereof that Schumer had going into this process. They don't want to make it so that they are appearing as easily steamrolled heading into the next fight, which is reconciliation, that budget blueprint that Republicans plan to use to fund the president's priorities at the border, mass deportations when it comes to the military, extending those tax cuts. Democrats now are focused on that fight, and Andy Kim himself told me that that is where the Democratic constituents want them to focus, as we heard those very rowdy town halls all over the country while lawmakers were out on recess. Jose.
Yeah, I mean, Faz, you were at the rally over the weekend with Senator Sanders and Representative Cortez. They're drawing tens of thousands of people. It's not an election year. First of all, what is the strategy here, and what is it that the amount of people coming out tell you about what are the concerns and some of the frustrations of folks?
I was honored to organize all 5 of those events across 3 different states, and we had over 86,000 people turn out this weekend. And they're telling you, I think, that the Democratic Party politics right now, which is again encapsulated by a sense of finger in the wind, too cozy with power, don't want to assert power and leverage to fight for our values, that doesn't work for people. Why they're showing up right now for Bernie Sanders, even if they didn't really love him before. This person of integrity who is fighting against a billionaire class and willing to take on that friction with powerful actors. And right now the integrity is lacking from too many politicians who are willing to, when it gets hot against Elon Musk, against billionaires who want to control the economy, are you willing to engage that battle? No finger in the wind, no technocratic politics, a sense of moral virtue. Right now, everything about our country is an obscenity to our moral values. When you see a hubris, an exploitation, a greed that suggests that people's lives don't matter, communities don't matter, people are ahead of the Democratic Party right now. They're showing you, they're turning out in droves to say, you got to catch up to where we're at.
So, Faz, if you would explain it to us, so are you saying that there needs to be a change in the performative aspect of what the Democratic Party stands for? Because, and Julie was talking about how behind the scenes, many Democratic legislators say what Schumer did was necessary. It's how he got to doing it, performative, that was a problem.
Yeah. Well, I would argue, so just on Schumer for a moment, Jose, if you are really upset about Social Security offices being closed and veterans clinics being closed unnecessarily, unduly harming America, you draw a red line and you say, Donald Trump, you sit down with us and I will write into this legislation, there will be 0 Social Security office closures in America. And I'm prepared to shut this down unless and until you agree with me on that. So that's just how you exert power. I will say that too often in the Democratic Party, we are looking at politics through a left-right spectrum. That's not where we're at right now. It's a very top versus the rest of us spectrum. And if you don't understand that, if you don't see the class prism and the class dimension and the possibilities of actually talking to, if I looked at a lot of the crowds that showed up, I saw a lot of white working class people who probably voted for Donald Trump, a fair number of them showing up because they felt like they were sold a bill of goods, right? I didn't hear Donald Trump telling me Social Security offices were going to be closed, that Elon Musk was going to come in and raise the entire government, and CFPB was going to be closed, FTC commissioner is going to be fired. That's not what he campaigned on. So I think I think there's a populist revolt going on through a class-based prism, and that's what you got to see.
And Susan, the newly minted chair of DNC, reported some of the party's strongest grassroots fundraising on record. And this is part of, I guess, kind of the establishment. $9 million in the first month of Trump's presidency. What are you learning about grassroots efforts? The grassroots is different than the establishment, and yet the establishment seems to be getting support from the grassroots.
You know, if you look at congressional Democrats, they do not have a consistent, coherent strategy against Donald Trump here 60 days into his presidency. And you see all this energy reflected in the big rallies that Senator Sanders got from people in the grassroots. You see it also in these contributions to Democrats. That doesn't mean there's a kind of coherent approach from the grassroots, but there's a great dissatisfaction with the leadership that they're seeing in Washington and an inability to make a constructive and formidable case against Trump and Elon Musk.
You know, Fast, I was curious and when you were describing and explaining who goes to these rallies, the 80,000 plus people that came out, difficult to generalize, but there clearly is an overwhelming feeling, right, that all of these people share, whether they voted for Trump or not. But how is that translated into what you could state is, fighting the oligarchy and the billionaire class? Well, there's an oligarchy and a billionaire class in both political parties.
Yes. Yes, and that, I think, that one of the reasons why people feel a comfort in a sense of solidarity with Bernie Sanders is that here's someone who has criticized both the Democratic and Republican Party. It didn't just show up today or yesterday. He's been doing it for a long period of time around a core set of moral values. I will say that, Jose, to your point, we went to some places that you would not consider liberal. I mean, you take Altoona, Wisconsin, a town of 2,000 people. We had 5,000 people show up there. Oh, well over that. And then you go out to, it was like 10,000, I think. And then you go out to Greeley, Colorado, University of Northern Colorado there. Very, conservative area. Gabe Evans, congressman, a Republican congressman, represents that district. And you had well over 10,000 people show up there. By strategic design, Senator Sanders has targeted some of these purple districts in America held by Republicans that they won by small margins. Wisconsin, Colorado, Arizona. That's why we visited some of these places. He's arguing, Senator Sanders is, that if we exert this pressure, there is a serious possibility that you could peel off Republicans on the Medicaid cuts, the $880 billion that they want to cut from Medicaid, or the giant tax cuts for the rich. That debate is happening this year. And if we're exerting this pressure, you'd have to be a fool if you're, Gabe Evans or Juan Ciscomani or, Derek Van Orden, some of these Republican congressmen who are seeing these giant rallies in their states and not realize what is going on.